Hello everyone, I'm Don Nestor, the Chainflex product manager here in North America. Today I'm going to be talking to you about our Chainflex cables and how we can lower your costs or increase the life of your application. And if you like what you see today, please check us out at www.igus.com, and you can put the current cables you use now into our price check request, and we'll analyze your current cables and cross them to our Chainflex cables, and we'll go through some of that right now. So igus offers many different products for automation. We're mainly known for our energy chain cable carrier, and 30 years ago we realized that our customers needed a cable that would perform well inside of the energy chain. So we introduced Chainflex cables with a special design that's optimized for use inside the cable carrier. And we offer those cables with energy chain as a ready chain as well as a service. So we've been in business for over 35 years, and now we're grown to the point where we can offer all these products together, and they're tested and guaranteed. And energy chains, again, well known for our energy chain product. We have the world's largest and the smallest plastic chain, in a very large selection, which leads us into the cable. The energy chain is there to guide cables. So in moving applications, all the cables we have are made for moving applications, continuous flex. We have over 1,400 cables in stock in Rhode Island, 3.5 million feet of cable available, and most of our cables orders ship in 24 hours. So we can service any of your cable needs. We have no cut charges, no minimum lengths, and here's some more logistics on our cables. And just to show you, these cables are designed to avoid cable failure, like broken wire, corkscrew, jacket wear, and damage from oils and chemicals, things of that nature. What is cost down, life up? Basically, a product line is set up so that we can offer you up to 7 different mechanically performing cables for the same electrical type. So for example, a 4-conductor 20 gauge cable will have in 7 different part numbers with different performance levels and different price points and different bend radius and mechanical factors for each one. And we do this for all the different types of cables that you would need for an industrial automation project. Control, data, bus cables, which include Ethernet, fiber optics, measuring system and drive cable technology, motor cables as well. So in order to service our customers, we test our products and we guarantee our cables. We offer a 36-month guarantee. We do this with a very large test lab in Germany. It's a 40,000 square foot test lab doing 2 billion test cycles every year. And this test lab drives our service life calculator. We enable customers are able to go here and put in the types of cables they want and their application details, and we will tell them what the service life of that cable will be and what the guaranteed lifetime of that cable will be, and above and below those levels as well. We'll give some different options there. This service life calculator is available to anyone on the website. I'll put the link in the chat. So we're going to get into some of the installation guidelines that we have for our cables. The service life calculator is great and it's guaranteed, but you have to install the cables properly. They can withstand a lot of mistakes in this area, and we see thousands of applications every year. Our technical sales team is going to customers directly and seeing their applications, and we see all types of cable installation from good to bad. And so I'll run through some of the tips we give customers, and what the driving factor for cable life for any continuous flex cable is the bend radius. So that's number one. And bend radius is easily calculated based on the amount of space you have, and the cable carrier itself can dictate your bend radius based on the mechanical constraints of the cable links, carrier links. And sometimes the part number will have the bend radius factor on the side of the link. But basically you have the we call it the H dimension. You measure from the top run of the cable carrier to the bottom run, and you divide by 2. Bend radius factors for cable are broken down into 3 different areas, and we do this for a number of different reasons. Each cable type has a certain bend radius factor that it's designed to be installed at, and we give a recommended minimum. And we do this with 3 different bend radius factors. We have an energy chain bend radius factor, a flexible bend radius factor, and fixed. Now, the energy chain is a little more conservative because we do the testing for our cables in energy chains, moving back and forth. And that type of test is more difficult than the other types of tests that are in the industry, like a tick-tock or a roller test. Some of those tests have been around for a while and they're great, but they're more conducive to other types of cable management systems like cable reels and festoons. So the flexible rating we have is a little tighter, and that's intended for other types of cable management systems. And then the fixed bend radius is when the cable leaves the chain or carrier. It's how it can be installed. The lowest bend radius you want to fix the cable at after it's not moving anymore. We go a little more detailed in that we tie this to temperature and length of travel. At our test lab in Germany, we test cables in long travel, short travel, different energy chain configurations. We have 2 40-foot shipping containers with a test stand inside that moves energy chains back and forth all day. And we can run this temperature chamber down to -40°C. So we're able to see what happens to cables when you do that. And we can give bend radius factors around those recommendations. So you're going to have to use a larger bend radius factor in those cold temperatures. And the same goes for length of travel. The longer travel energy chain applications have a little more stress that they put on the cable, so it'll have a more conservative bend radius factor there. And this is to yield the types of service life into the millions, 5, 7.5, 10 million. And we have cables that are more economical and will yield much less. So that's kind of how it goes back to our cost down, life up, being able to offer up to 7 different types for the same cable. Then there are some basics here, like how to unspool cables from a shipping reel. You never want to pull it off the flange of a reel. And you find out right away when you try to install a cable that you do this with. It's like the extension cord at home when you wrap it around your arm. It doesn't go so well. It turns into a figure 8. So you want to avoid that, and by pulling it off the reel, usually from the top, and unspooling, that's the best way. As far as the energy chain itself, there are different configurations of energy chain. Some that require pulling, where it's a very long travel, or the energy chain itself doesn't have crossbars that open. When you're pulling cable, you want to pull them obviously straight through without crossing over, and you want to keep an eye on cable clearance at this point. It's usually on long travels, it can be a 2-person job, and that can be, our cable can handle pulling, and we give all the recommendations for the maximum tensile strength that the cable can handle. Some of our energy chains have opening crossbars. This works well for shorter travel and long travel applications, where you can lay the cable in from the top or bottom. These are very popular with a lot of our customers because of the ease of installation. And there are wear items inside of cable carriers that need to be replaced, and this makes that easier. And obviously, cable layout, again, to avoid corkscrew and cable damage. And it seems simple, but you just want to make sure the cables aren't crossing over each other. When you're laying cables on top of each other, this can be a little more difficult to do, but in long travel as well, You just have to take care, especially at the installation, to make sure the cable is moving in the same shelf and not crossing over other cables. And so we give some distribution rules for this. The diameter combined of two cables next to each other has to be greater than 20%, so they won't cross over when they're moving. Cables are moving back and forth. There is some back and forth movement there when they need room and clearance. So if you give them proper clearance and they're not crossing over each other, you'll get good service life out of it. So we have vertical and horizontal separators to help space out cable and arrange them correctly. The worst thing is when you overstuff a cable carrier and you're really limiting the performance of that system there, and you're going to have downtime. We have the 10% rule, so electrical cables, we recommend 10% clearance around. Pneumatics, 5 to 10%. Hydraulics, 20% because of the flexing of the hydraulics. And also liquid media hoses, same thing, 15 to 20%. And then another really neglected step is strain relief. We see a lot of customers just not strain relief. And cables will survive, but you will not optimize the life of the cable. You'll experience corkscrew. If you have a number of these steps missed, you're crossing cables over, you're stuffing the cable carrier, you're using cables not designed for continuous flex, you're going to see cable failure, especially if you don't strain relieve. So we recommend strain relieving at both ends for electrical cables, hydraulic hoses only at the moving end to allow for that movement of the hydraulics as they pulse. A very important step, and we have another tip we use when we're strain relieving. You don't want to pull it too tight, so you don't want to lock down one end of the strain relief and then pull it tight and strain relief the other end. You want to let the cable move in that neutral axis, the center line of the cable carrier. Longer travels, this is more difficult to achieve, but you don't want to pull it too tightly across the length of the cable carrier. As far as strain reliefs go, we offer many different strain relief methods based on the type of space you have. You can do it at the end of the chain and the bracket. We call it a KMA bracket, and use a profile rail with these CFX clamps, which hex key, you can lock those down pretty tight. We have these tie wrap plates that go into the profile rail or the end of the energy chain. These can also be done after the chain and other parts of the machine as clearance dictates. All of those things are there to help prevent these common failure types. Loss of continuity, insulation damage, corkscrew, which is a very visible one we see, jacket abrasion, jacket swelling from chemicals and oils, and shield failures. And we'll go over this at another webinar, and but this is what you're trying to avoid by these guidelines and recommendations and using Chainflex cables. And one last bit of information is that our 36-month guarantee is UL verified, so it gives you that third-party assurance that it's a good guarantee. Anyway, thank you for joining us today, and we're going to open it up to some questions now, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.